Big up, people. Welcome back to 12th Man. The Arsenal roundabout is back. There is no Lee Gal tonight. Wow, it might be quite a quiet stream, but I've certainly got an elite panel, that's for sure. Big up to Albert JTV. We've got African Guna in the house. We've got Kenny Ken back as always, and we've got Brandon. And of course, I'm your host, Dan Potts. We're going to be going through a lot of Arsenal talk tonight. We're going to be talking about Alexander Isak, who is not for sale. None of the Newcastle players are apparently today, even though yesterday it came out saying they might be willing to sell him. There's a lot of mixed opinions on that one, that's for sure. I'm going to talk about potential new formation change at Arsenal. Not that I'm hearing that that's going to happen, but there could be some changes to make in the coming games, which I think we're going to need to do, because if we see what we see against Leicester in the coming 3 games, we ain't taking 9 points, people. Let me tell you that now. That is definitely for sure. So we're going to talk and discuss that. To do that, we've got Brandon back in the house, bro. I'm going to come to you first. Before I do that, please make sure that we are supporting Reality Raffles. I know a lot of you are following these guys at the moment, so please make sure on Instagram you're following Reality Raffles. There's an unbelievable chance to win £100,000 cash. Please make sure you are in the draw for this. If you use the code FTM10, you'll get 10% off as well on that. So please make sure you've entered that draw. There's also opportunities on there if you go on their website, and some of the prizes are also as follows. There's a great opportunity to win the Mini Cooper and cash. There's also a great opportunity to win the iPhone or £600. That's the iPhone 16. If you are into Lego, I didn't realize how much of a collection item this was, by the way. There's an unbelievable chance to get some vouchers there as well. And of course, you can get the tag watch also. So please make sure you go over to Reality Raffles. They have not just got those prizes, they've got unbelievable football opportunities to get to games, music festivals, concerts, the lot. So please make sure you're following Reality Raffles and use the code FTM10. Big up to them. Go show them some love. Brandon, are you showing Arsenal any love, mate? Or have you given up and the white flags come up, brother? I haven't spoke to you for ages. Talk to me.
The white flags came out ages ago, Dan. You know this. I think, in reality, I think we all know, even the toppest of top gooners know that we just haven't got enough. It's as simple as that. With all the injuries, the fact that we didn't invest in January, all the rest of it, it's going to be one of them seasons again where we're going to look back on it and just feel disappointment, really, because it's not like Liverpool are a million miles away from us. It's not like we're chasing this excellent, fantastic team that's accumulating 100 points like what Man City were doing. You know what I mean? So it's disappointing. It really is, because I genuinely think a few pieces and we would have been there. But, I think the football club have shown their intentions once again. The owners have shown their intentions once again, which is they didn't buy the football club to win trophies, Dan. They brought the football club to make money. Providing we're qualifying for Champions League year in, year out, Mikel Arteta will keep his job. The owners will be happy. He will continue to get pay rises, etc., and all the rest. And this is the thing, they will do the bare minimum. Turkish said it best. We're back at square one now, and you'll see the intentions of the owners become clear, and it's clear to see that this January especially, and the summer transfer window, in fact, we're not a serious enough football club to really want to win major honours, and that's the thing. To get there, we're going to have to strike a bit of luck, really. And of course, we're going to talk about Alexander Isak. I think that is null and void, to be honest with you, boys. I mean, we'd love to get Alexander Isak. Let's just be real about it. I think he's one of the best strikers in world football right now, if not the best striker, the most informed striker in football right now. But, to get any player like that, you're going to have to pay well over the odds. And look, I know Newcastle say he's not for sale, but trust me, any player is for sale at the right price. If you go and slap £150 million down, I bet you Newcastle will at least think about it. So any player is available at the right price. It's just whether Arsenal are willing to do it. And we've seen time and time again that the football club are not willing to go the extra mile. People will point to Declan Rice, for example, £100 million. We broke our transfer record. We've never spent that sort of money on a single player, but you know, are Arsenal going to go and do that again? That's the question. And really and truly, Dan, let's be real. Do we even need Alexander Isak? We've got Mikel Merino, mate. You know, 2 chances, 2 goals. That's a top quality ratio. That's up there with Haaland. That is 2 chances, 2 goals. I mean, Mikel Arteta once again showing just how genius he is. That's 2 midfielders that he's brought now that can play striker better than they can play in midfield. So we might be onto a winner.
Might be. And I was going to come to you, Kenny, because you were at the game, you were at the King Power. What was the general consensus around the crowd after we'd won that game, bro? What are people thinking right now?
Oh, so I mute myself. The situation is that let's be honest. Everyone has been honest. We enjoyed the end of the match, but we're very honest. We have, I think, collectively, I've had loads of conversations, not with people I'm with, but people in the ground. We think, and we've kind of accepted that we've never been in the title race. We're very honest with that because simple reason is that it doesn't feel like it did last season, where every player was just not. It wasn't the fact they were fit; they were real bang on form. There wasn't a player that was out of form by this time last season, especially going into the straight. You know, Partey was in form, Declan was in form, Odegaard was in subliminal form, Saka was playing beautiful play, even Martinelli was in form, and Kai Havertz was very, very, very effective. We haven't been that team all season. There are various reasons why. There's a lot of acceptance, not pessimism, acceptance of this season. Is that even with our full team, we haven't played well. We've flattered to deceive. We haven't been consistent, and then we had the indiscipline through sending off. Then we had the VAR, and then the injuries came, and it's all these sort of collectives that has happened. And I always put it down to the fact that we haven't got over the fact that we didn't seal the deal for the last 2 seasons. It has an effect. It has 100% an effect. I don't whether people want to accept that or not. It's just the way football is sometimes. You know, you have to strike when you're in really, really, really playing well. And we're in a situation this season that for us to win the league, even without Man City in form, you have to be immaculate. And right now, we're not immaculate. Liverpool don't have to be immaculate because they're the team that have got 7 points in front. They're the team that always been leading us. There was no margin error for this football club, and that's why there's not disappointment, just acceptance and absolute. You know, it's not throwing in the white flag. What a lot of people are going to say it's just realistic. We're very, very realistic. The injuries have just basically put a pin in the balloon, and all the air's come out. And let's be honest. Teams that challenge for the title normally lead it at least once or twice this season. We've never led this title race. We've been a solid second for probably the last 3 months. Before that, it was changing hands between us and Nottingham Forest. So, really, it's acceptance, not pessimism. Acceptance.
Look, it sounds so negative, doesn't it? And I think we're all a little bit defeatist. Albert, ain't spoke to you for ages, bro. What we saying? Bro. Because I've got to be real. Like, it has been really disappointing and deflating. After beating Manchester City 5-1, we then saw us go out of course, the League Cup after the window shutting, only to see Martinelli and Havertz on top of Saka and Jesus getting injured. It really has been a down time. Now, I appreciate that we've beaten Leicester, but the way that we beat Leicester with Merino going up top and scoring the goals and having to come on with the front three when really Waneri was the only shining light, let's be honest. It doesn't fill with a lot of confidence when we've still got to go to Forest away, Old Trafford, Chelsea at home, Newcastle at home, Anfield, with, let's be real, a team that is probably going to be not far off what we saw against Leicester, bruv. So talk to me, man.
Yeah, the way things are going, man, I was thinking of coming out of retirement and lending my services. The way things are going at Arsenal. Yeah, Dan, it's a hard one, man. And I touched on a little bit what Ken was saying in terms of the key word acceptance. I I think in the top 7, we've drawn the most games. That's damning as it is already. That's 8 draws, man. That's a lot of draw. You can't. I don't know any team in the history of the Premier League that can draw that many games in the season at this stage of the season and win the Premier League. It's impossible. So that's hindering us. In regards to the striker talk, Dan, I'll be honest with you. I'm at the point now, and I am speaking for myself only. I don't care who we get in the summer now. I couldn't care less. You do podcast after podcast. I saw you guys have been guests on Dan's channel and other channels. We throw names into the hat. We talk about this striker. We talk about that striker. I'm genuinely at the point I don't care who we get. Just get someone. And I'm going to take in a different direction, Dan, in terms of we got Jason Ato, who's the interim sporting director, right? To me, we talk about recruitment. That's going to be one of the biggest recruitments you do in the summer. Now, I don't really care how long he's been at the club. Just because you've been at the club a long time doesn't mean you're the right person for the job. There's a plethora of sporting directors out there, whether that's domestically or in Europe or wherever there is. There's plenty of them out there. Arsenal have to bring somebody in. I don't care what the noise is coming out of at the club in terms of how good they're looking at, how good Jason Ato is looking at, because if you're going by a short sample size of what we did in January, we know what we did in January, we did nothing. And I think the most annoying thing for Arsenal fans, not just this season or even the last couple of seasons, I said this before when he's going for top 4, I think it's technically 3 seasons ago, or maybe 4 seasons ago. And again, we bought no one in the January transfer window. So we did the same thing many, many years ago with the same manager, and we're in a better position in terms of going for a league title. And we repeated the same thing. Like, January was a disaster, man. Like, it's to have brought in nobody. You know, you've heard Declan Rice come out and make points about we need reinforcements. Mikel said it on quite a few occasions, and they brought in no one. So that concerns me more so in terms of the sporting director thing, because that's a big position to fill at the club, man. And if you kind of look at it, I'm not sure Arsenal will actually bring anybody else in, because I think you need to bring in somebody above Jason Ato, to be honest with you, to come and help him. Because if his audition, Dan, for example, was what happened in January, then that failed miserably. So I'm sorry if
Depends who's looking at it. You say, like, we'll say it failed miserably because we was disappointed in the January transfer window. But would the Kroenkes say that it failed miserably? Because really and truly, you know, they've saved the Kroenkes money by not bringing in any players. So in the Kroenkes' eyes, you know, they're looking at him probably in the same way that they look at Tim Lewis and the other guy as well. You know, he's a bit more of a business-minded man more than, you know, what happens on the football pitch. So to the Kroenkes, they're probably looking at him and thinking, yeah, you've done a fantastic job.
Brandon, you know what it is for me? And I said this before, if Arsenal weren't going to buy anybody, Arsenal fans have been upset, but then don't buy anyone. But the fact they put in that last 12-hour attempt to get Watkins, I can understand why the Arsenal fans have gone up tenfold, because it is insane. It's insanity to do that.
Do you believe that, though, Albert?
Brandon, whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. The fact that it came out, the fact they went to get a striker when they know they needed reinforcements. To me, if you're gonna go out and get somebody, I don't care if he's Premier League proven or not, or he's up and coming in Europe. Arsenal have this thing where they just don't get it done, and that's a mirror image of so many transfer windows. And I said to people, look, people talking 2 months out before the January transfer window, I said to them, look, do not hang your head on, do not hang your hat as an Arsenal fan on January. I generally thought Arsenal would bring in at least one. Don't ask me what position. I just bring in somebody. But to be neglectful, to not bring in nobody, knowing that we had Saka out for a few months, and then obviously the injuries are piled on. I get it. You've got sections of our fan base, Dan, for example, that say the season's not over mathematically, and cool. I'm not going to argue with that because that's true. But we're looking at Arsenal to do something we haven't done in 20 odd years, and in terms of our European history, we've never done. If he pulls that off, then listen, we're gonna have a fantastic Boston Tea Party podcast. But at the moment, we're in February still, and Dan, listen, Mikel's going to have to come up with something. Tactically, we'll see. He's going to be tested because you haven't got the bodies or the numbers to do it. And we're relying on, in turn, people talk about standards a lot within sort of our fan base, but the two players currently at the moment that are setting the standards above anybody else are the two academy kids. You might say that's a sad indictment, possibly, maybe. But listen, we are where we are, Dan.
We are where we are, man. Big up to NetTweets. It's Dovbik Watkins. Isak to Arsenal. Chocolate teapot. NetWeed, big up to you, bro. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. AG, let me come to you, my bro. It's been too long, man. It really has. Yeah. Big up for coming on, man. Really appreciate you being back on. And look, I've got to be real. I know from speaking to you and doing content with you that you are fairly positive and try and get behind what the club are doing. I know that for a fact you've been really impressed with some of the parts of the club. But even you, I know for a fact, were very disappointed at the end of January. Talk to me about why you think that is and how it's now left us in moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. Look, personally, it's quite obvious. I love Arsenal, and we all do. And I think over the last 2-3 years, it's been great as a fan to see our club compete. I mean, Brandon and I have known each other for maybe almost a decade now, and we've been in the trenches. And the last 3 years has been absolutely incredible as a fan, to be honest, competing at the top. But at the end of the day, we all know it's about winning and winning the trophies. And we all know that's the last piece that we needed to get. At the start of this season, we all told ourselves that this was the season. This had to be the season that we did it, considering the past 2 years and where the squad and the team had evolved. And we had hoped that the summer transfer window was going to reflect some of that. We sold 2 attacking players, and I would say even 3 attacking players, being Nketiah, Fabio Vieira, and Smith Rowe, without replacing them. And I think in September, Arsenal fans already knew that we had made a mistake, and we had recognized that we needed more attacking players. So the fact is, I'm really disappointed that it's not about the injuries. We already knew we needed players before the injuries. The injuries only made it even more apparent that we needed someone. And we knew we needed a striker. We knew we needed a backup winger. We knew we needed someone and an upgrade on Saka, which was not Marino. Now, Dan, I'm quite positive. And, I obviously I want Arsenal to win every game. And, as I said, it's been quite incredible to watch this team evolve and develop. But I really believe, like Albert, that this window, the club would not be stupid enough to not buy someone. One, because it was a risk that if we don't win a major trophy this season, the fans will turn. Because it's been 5 years, we spent a lot of money. We can't look at the owners saying, hey, you didn't give Arteta the money. They gave him the money. He misspent some of it on goalkeepers, on defenders, on midfielders. And you know what? It is what it is. We can't change it. I'm not going to get upset about Kai Havertz. I think he's been an incredible signing for us. And he's just not the striker that we needed. But that's not his fault. That was Arteta's choice to sign him. But again, it was Arteta and the club's responsibility to now go make those amends and get a player in January. And I was really, really disappointed because I really believe, Dan, that, after the Declan Rice transfer, this club got a lot of credit from me in the bank because I really believe that we changed. And this transfer window showed me that we haven't changed at all. I don't buy any excuses. I'm sorry. Marcus Rashford improves this team. Asensio improves this team. Matisse Tel improves this team. Loaning Vlahovic improves this team. Paying 50 million for Nico Williams improves this team. We can go on and on and on about players that we could have gotten. Aston Villa got 80 million for transferring their best striker, and they still loaned and then are not paying Rashford's whole wages. There were opportunities, and the club decided not to do it and showed zero ambition. We threw in the towel. Pretty much the season is over for me, unfortunately. I want to be positive. I want us to do as best as we can. Obviously, we're still in the title race, as Albert said. It's mathematically not over, and there's only hope. And we hope that Liverpool is going to drop points. But I'm not focusing and looking at the league every week saying, hey, you know what, we're going to win the league. Right now, as an Arsenal fan, realistically, I look at the Champions League and I say, hey, you know what? We might get lucky. We might have a chance. We might be good in these knockout games. We've seen it before, and we all know, the true Arsenal fans, we know we can beat any team on any given day. Give us Madrid. We know we can do it. It's possible. We're just not consistent, and we just don't have maybe enough to get over the line. So my hope as an Arsenal fan, someone that wants the club to win and someone that wants us to continue progressing, is looking at the Champions League and saying, hey, Arteta, you got to go. You got to produce some magic. You got to get us at least to a semifinal so that we can say at the end of the season, even though we didn't win anything, there's maybe a reason to give you another season. Because I think as a fan base, we've moved we keep moving the goalposts. This was supposed to be the season. Why are we saying another season next year? And we're not going to look. I love Arteta. I think he's done absolutely incredible things for the club, and we might not get better than Arteta. So it's a really, really difficult decision to say, hey, do we just move on from this guy, or is there something better? I don't think the club personally will pull the trigger because he's done really well, and there isn't so much better than him, but he needs to get the transfers right this summer. We're already seeing all these PR links, these transfers to different strikers, attacking midfielders, etc. Zubamendi done, Williams done, all of that. Time will tell if we actually get it done, but at the moment, I'm really disappointed because, as I've outlined, there were a lot of opportunities, guys. And really, the fact that, as Albert said, Ethan Nwaneri is our best player right now, the fact that we signed Raheem Sterling and this guy can barely do anything on the pitch, and we're talking about his attitude in the club and how he's a great professional. Yeah, Rob Holding was a great professional, and that guy cost us the league when we had to play him and Saliba got injured. So I'm tired of this stuff. We've been here around the circle so many times. Really disappointing as a fan. Really wanted this to be the season, and it doesn't look like it might be.
Go on, Albert.
Yeah, Potsy, you probably covered it on your channel in the past before. You guys might have said it, but I think Arsenal are in a position now, right, where we could have looked at Arsenal many years ago and said, you know what, some of our players, man, we ain't really got no sellable assets. But I think we're coming to a point now where if we're going to talk about money, for example, and Arsenal not been very good at bringing good monetary value in for a number of years, actually, but they're going to have to pull the plug down and sell one of the big guys. Now, I'm not saying that should be Saliba before people start losing their minds in the chat, but Arsenal have to do that. I, for example, if there's one player for me that is, you can look at Arsenal's sort of first 11, 12 players and say, you know what, that's a player we can move on to get someone better in the position. For me, that would be Martinelli. Now, Arsenal have to look at, in the ballpark, what, 50, 60 million? Arsenal have to start doing that now, Dan. We have to do that now. The sentiment thing as fans, yes, we want players to stay and win trophies, but we ain't been winning them regularly enough, in recent years. So Arsenal have to start doing that, because if you want to get better players in, and I do think Sesko will come in the summer personally, Arsenal have to start doing that. They have to start doing it. Whether it's going to pain some of us as fans, we love players and want them to do well, but football's a short career, man. And if people might not like the word, football clubs, they are business. They have people in charge for a reason, because they're good at business. Be good at your job and actually bring some monetary value into the club of a significant amount. They're gonna have to start doing that, Dan.
Listen, I'm with you, bro. I'm with both of you in everything that you've said. I've never seen AJ like that, man. If I'm honest,
Bro,
it must be bad.
Yeah, it hurts because I love the club and I want us to do well. And as Brandon said, we are so close. We're always one player, two. We're so close, like so close, guys. And we've been so close for 2 years, and the club still don't want to do that extra, just one thing. And we would have been upset even if we won nothing this season, but we tried and we got Rashford and it didn't work out. Oh, we tried and we got whoever, like Albert said, whoever, and it didn't work out. At least we could have said, you know what? At least we tried. We did this exact same thing last season in January. We were in a good position. We were going for the league. We were in multiple competitions. We didn't sign anybody, and we got left with nothing at the end of the season. And we still haven't learned our mistakes.
I agree. Look, Brandon, there are rumors, and there's more rumors, and there's more rumors. Zubamendi is coming in the summer. I don't really care, but he's coming in the summer. Nico Williams is not available until the summer. Sesko is the striker that we want in the summer. And the rumours today are that Isak yesterday was for sale for 100 million euros if they don't qualify for the Champions League. And then just 24 hours later, Newcastle have said Bruno, Tonali, Joelinton, Isak, Gordon, none of them are going anywhere, even if they don't get into the Champions League. So Isak, let's be real, I'm with you. I don't think it's happening anyway, but it looks like now it's confirmed that it's definitely not happening. Now, I have to be honest, I thought we were getting Sesko anyway. There has not been enough rumours for Arteta to be this obsessed with Isak like people seem to think that they want him to be. I'm sure he rates him, but he's always made it quite clear that Sesko is the guy. For the last 2 summers, we've been trying to go for this guy now. And in January, we tried to get it pushed forward. It looks like Zubamendi, there's genuine sort of interest there. And Nico Williams, I'm being told he's obsessed with. Now, he's had an absolutely shocking season so far. I think Marino scored as many goals as Nico Williams. So he's not had the best of seasons. So what do you make of that and the Isak news in particular, Brandon?
What I would say, right, is Well, I've said my piece on Isak. You know, I don't believe that will happen purely because number one, he's going to be, you know, so highly priced. You know, Newcastle won't want to sell their assets. It's not like they have to either. They've got rich owners. You know, maybe the player might force a move, but I think the thing with Alexander Isak as well is he will have other options available. You know, options that I dare say would probably be, you know, a better option than Arsenal even. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, with the Isak thing, and I'm with you, Dan. You know, I've always thought that this football club was getting Sesko, but you know, just to read into the PR that this football club, and that is where we're world class, by the way. The only department at this football club that is world class is the PR department, right? Mikel Arteta, a few years ago, said that we don't have to convince players to join Arsenal. Players want to come to Arsenal. Yeah. And the one thing that I would say about this Sesko thing is we've been told on a number of occasions Sesko's the guy. Arsenal are waiting for him. Then he signs a new deal at RB Leipzig. Yeah. And now we're waiting for him again. So, you know, in my mind, going off of what Mikel Arteta has said himself, you know, I'm looking at that player and I'm saying, well, do you really want to join? Because if you don't want to join, then we ain't signing you. We'll move on to the next target. I don't understand why Arsenal are waiting around for players that, you know, are not desperate to come. You know, at the end of the day, there's no reason why we couldn't have brought that deal forward in January. You know, it's not like, and I'm not even talking about a world beater here. You know, his goal ratio and all the rest of it isn't even that great. You know, we're looking at a player again who's got potential to be maybe great in the future, but isn't coming in at that world class level right now. And this is the problem with Arsenal, you see, when we look to go and get them level raisers, the ones that are going to carry us over the line, we always seem to fail when it comes to that. Now, I know we got Declan Rice, as I pointed out earlier, right? But we're looking at level raisers in attacking areas now. And the one thing that I will point to, under Mikel Arteta, Arsenal have been pathetic when it comes to signing attacking players. We brought in Gabby Jesus, who was brilliant to begin with. You know, brought us back to Champions League. Him and along with Zinchenko, elevated the level to get us back to Champions League. But they were never going to be the guys to get us over the line in winning major honours, right? But he's not even a striker anyway. Then we bring in, you know, Marquinhos. The less said about him, the better. You know, we bring in Kai Havertz as a midfielder. End up playing him as a nine because he's better there than what he is in midfield. Okay, you know, you've kind of fallen on your feet there, Mikel, because really and truly, we should never have invested in him in the first place. But, you know, he's turned out to be an okay number nine. He's been scoring goals for us. He's come up in big moments for us, but we need the level raisers. The problem that I have is when you look at our defence is stacked. You know, we've got Raya in goal. I'd say the goalkeeper's position is pretty much sorted. Yes, we need a backup because Neto is not it. Midfield, we could probably do with one or two more additions because we let the likes of Smith Rowe go. We let the likes of Fabio Vieira go out on loan. I don't suspect that he'll come back, and we never replace them. So, yeah, one or two additions in the midfield. Plus, we're looking at the fact that Jorginho or Partey or maybe even both might leave. So we're going to need midfielders. My biggest problem, though, Dan, is attacking areas. And we've all seen that to win the league, not only do you need to have a brilliant defence, which Arsenal has got at their disposal, but you also need a top quality attack. And we just simply haven't got that. You know, Martinelli's fallen off a cliff. Saka, of course, long-term injury. We don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back from that. I think a lot of Arsenal fans have failed to realise this, right? Grade 3 hamstring tear is no joke. If we rush this guy back, which our manager, let's be honest, has a habit of doing with players, yeah, we could really seriously damage Bukayo Saka, and he may not be the same guy. So we have to hope and pray that, you know, the manager realises what's happening, allows him to recover, and maybe we don't see him till next season, and then we can go from there. Because I don't want Bukayo Saka to also become a player who no longer can go any higher in his ceiling and become better because of that injury affecting him and because he's being rushed back. Because he is our best attacking player. And as I pointed out, Kai Havertz, we definitely need better than that. So when you look at that, two midfield positions, Zubimendi's going to, if he comes, that is, he's going to cost us, 55 million pound. Then you probably look at another addition in the midfield area. Then for a top quality attacking player, you are looking at maybe £100 million. And then on the left, again, there's talks of Williams. Again, you're looking at 50 to 60 million pound. That is upwards of 250 million pound. And that is just to improve the starting 11, let alone the fact that we need squad depth as well, Dan. We've got a 22-man squad, which was done by design, by the way. Yeah, people who like to let Mikel Arteta off with the whole what happened in the summer, what happened in January, seem to forget he has a say in who leaves the football club and who comes in. Now, he must have known that Arsenal only had limited funds in the summer. Arsenal have proven time and time again, not just under Mikel, but under Arsene Wenger as well, that January we do not do business. So, the question then is, if you knew that you was only going to get Mikel Merino, you was only going to get Calafiori, funds were tight, why would you allow the likes of Smith Rowe, the likes of Fabio Vieira, the likes of Eddie Nketiah, regardless of what we think of them as players, why would you allow them to leave the football club without replacing them? And this will always be the issue with Arsenal, unfortunately. Kenny said it perfectly. Arsenal fans at the games have accepted that this is as good as it's going to get this season. We're probably, second is probably as good as it's going to get this season. Where I want to know why we have to accept all the time. Like, stop with this acceptance. People need to start standing up now and saying, hang on, 21 years without a Premier League title, 5 years without a single trophy, 30 odd years without even a League Cup, and we're supposed to be the third biggest team in the country. We've got to be doing and expecting better than that. So I'm waiting because, as African Guna pointed out, fans may turn. It's going to be interesting to see which way the fans do turn, because I have slightly altered my views a little bit, because obviously I've been calling for Mikel Arteta to go. Now, to me, I'm also looking at this ownership. This ownership is a big problem, because I believe that even if we, sack Mikel Arteta, they'll only bring in another yes man anyway.
Okay, Brandon, but they gave the money, so how can we point fingers at them saying, like, I get it, I'm not saying they're not, but they gave the money. It's not their choice. They didn't tell Arteta, go sign this player, this. No, the whole point is, okay, we have the money, we are going to give you the resources, and we are going to hire people in the positions to help you make those decisions. That's why I struggle now to look at the owners and say, hey, and then when we're looking at January, how do you expect the owners to go give you more money when you've already misspent it? Like, forget about, Arsenal, any business that's not sensible, right, as an owner. Yeah. So this is my struggle. I hear your point.
Should they
sack him? I would say to that, you're absolutely spot on, and I've said this about the fact that he's had the money, he's not spent it wisely enough. There's so many errors that he's made there, but also you got to look at the Cronkies, because it was their choice to bring in a rookie manager. It was their choice to bring in a rookie in a sporting director, role. Edu didn't really have previous experience.
Yeah,
yes, he worked for the Brazilian team.
Brandon, we almost won the league, so then that means they're right. They almost won the league. We were one win away from winning the league, so that means that they're justified to make those hirings and giving the money. I think they've done pretty much a lot right. I struggle.
But what I would say as well, though, is how much of that money actually came out of the Cronkies' pockets? How
Sure,
much
but
of that?
that shouldn't be up to us. Why are we going to the nitty gritty details? A few
Because
years
what
ago, we wouldn't have cared
Yeah.
where that 100 million came for Rice. We just wanted to spend, and now that they're spending it,
No, but
saying, "Oh,
what I'm merely pointing out is, okay, the Cronkies have allowed Arteta to spend the money, but Arsenal generate that money. So the money is there. It's not actually coming out of their pocket. It's just money that Arsenal have generated that they've allowed the manager to spend. And look, they should be doing that anyway. If anything, if proper owners that want to win realize exactly where this Arsenal team is and realize that we are literally one step away, and they go, do you know what? Fuck PSR, right? We're going to put our hands in our pockets so you can go and get a player in January, Mikel. If you think there's a player there that can go and get you over the line, which, as we pointed out, there were so many players that were available in this January transfer window. And it's not like Arsenal just need a striker either. We've seen us struggle without Odegaard this
Wait,
season.
sorry,
So
Albert,
there
I
are
know-
multiple
I
positions.
know-
Sorry. No,
I
you
know
know,
you-
Brandon, just off what Brandon was saying now,
Yeah.
because you're right, because we're not accountants, obviously. As I can definitely tell, I'm not an accountant. I can tell you that for sure. But from what we kind of hear from the financial side of it, Arsenal were okay. So that even puts even more fuel on the fire to say, well, hold on a minute.
And we bid 40 million for Watkins. The money was there.
And there you go. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
but again, I'm going to ask you this. Do you genuinely believe that? Because I don't, and I'll tell you why, right? Mikel Arteta was asked on a number of occasions, people are saying, Arsenal fans are always saying, you need a striker, you need a striker. What do you think to that? And to begin with, he was saying, no, no, no. He was answering journalists in his press conference saying, no, I don't need a striker, no, I don't need a striker. It was only when Gabby Jesus went down that he then changed his mind and started to think, okay, maybe we could do with a forward player. But let's be real, when it comes to transfer windows, you have to plan ahead anyway. With the summer, with January, there was no plans in place for Arsenal to actually go and get anybody because we didn't want anybody. So
Brandon,
all
do
this.
you know why? Do you know why I do? But do you know why I do believe it?
Go on.
Because it's Arsenal. It's Arsenal thing.
Well, this is it.
It's
I
Arsenal
mean,
thing they would do. Yeah.
And again, it's a typical Arsenal thing. Let's say it is true, right? This reminds me of when we went and bid 40 million and £1 for Suarez. Like, why if Aston Villa are saying £60 million and you want that player?
Not
I
only
don't
that,
understand.
Brandon, as you said, it should have been planned. We should have been putting that bid in the first, second week, not when they're about to sell their best player. It's just
Me and Kenny Ken will go back to Gary Cahill days. We won't relive that story.
Do you know what's mad? I'll come to you, Kenny, because it's fair enough saying what we need and what we're gonna have to get and what we're gonna need to do. Even if Isak was available, do you think Isak would choose Arsenal? Because been asked this question quite a lot of times. Liverpool interested, Arsenal interested, Barcelona interested. I think he'd choose Barcelona, Kenny.
Who says Arsenal's interested?
Well, if we were.
No, it's not happening. Mikel Arteta, when it comes to player incomings, not so much outcomes, but definitely incomes, he's the alpha and omega. I always say that when it comes to strikers, listen to the leaks, from Sky, from Ornstein. They're in the know. If the club really want to go for a player, it's always these two entities, always Carvey, Dharma, or Ornstein. And the only player that Arsenal are interested in is Sesko. I don't know what's happened with Sesko, whether the personal terms were agreed or they weren't agreed, or whether there was conversations about his role in the team, whether he'll guaranteed start. We don't know, but there was definitely a conversation between Sesko and Mikel, and then the decision was made for him to sign another contract, and maybe we can go back to him. But the interest is still there. But the thing with the Cronkies, we have to assume, because of what we've seen, is that the club seriously were going for the league 2 Januaries ago, because they were aggressively going for Modric, aggressively going for Casado. That showed a club that was definitely trying to win the league that season. And then when we went to the summer afterwards, we were aggressively going for the league because we bought Declan, bought Kai, and we bought Timber, players that were going to make us better, but make us challenge. This summer, I always say that the club I know, if you do spend that kind of expenditure, there's always going to be comebacks. I saw it, the fans didn't, and I don't blame them for seeing it, because when you get that close, you want to go more and more and more into money. But remember, this is Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal Football Club and will have a club that said, right, we spent big, we can't do it again, or we won't do it again. We need to balance the books. That's the way Arsenal have done business for the last. I've supported this club all my life. I consider myself an Arsenal supporter since the age of 8 in 1980, and that's how Arsenal have been from day one. You can call the Cronkies out as much as you like. Let's not forget the Cronkies are bought into what Arsenal Football Club's always been since I've been a kid. We've always been that kind of, Bank of England club. We've always been that club that likes to do things the right way. We'll get a player if we really, really want him, but we'll be at our price. We'll only play big salaries 3 years after other teams have done it. We only play big transfer fees 3 years after other teams have done it. So that's the situation. If you want any change, then you're going to have to get an owner who doesn't believe in the way Arsenal is run, doesn't believe in the Arsenal, the Victoria Concordia Crescit. We got to rip that up from start to finish and be like Man City, by our success, nothing wrong with that. Be like Chelsea, by our success, nothing wrong with be at PSG, because at the end of the day, that's the only way we're going to be winning the Champions League, is if we get the best, and not only just get the best players on ability, you've got the best players mentally as well, and get the best managers who are mentally. But it'll be different though. The managers will come only be here for 2 or 3 years, but we'll accept that because we'll get success. So that's the whole situation. In terms of going back to the point about getting players in, again, it's what Mikel wants. But I'm telling you, this season, unless we improve in about 3 or 4 areas, we'll be a team that will not be competing for the league. We'll be a team that will be competing for the top 4 if we're lucky. And we've seen this season that different teams have come from the back gate to matter of change. Last year it was Aston Villa. This year it could be anyone from Newcastle and Bournemouth. It could be any of them, or even Man City. So that's not guaranteed. But the only way Arsenal can compete is if they do spend big and be very, very serious. Because what fans believe and what fans are seeing, we weren't seriously, aggressively going for the league in a way we were doing the season before, because of the fact that we didn't buy anyone. We were more interested in saying maybe they went to Mikel and said, look, I think you've got enough, mate, but you're going to have to, but if you want any more, come on, you've got to get Smith Rowe in. Come on, he's worth a lot of money. You don't play him. Come on, Eddie. Come on, you don't even get going. Come on, we can get 40 million for him. And that's Reece James. Well, he could play left wing, but you don't play him. Get him out. And that's what it was. It was always about balancing the books. And I think Arsenal fans have to be accepting of that. If they basically kind of have it both ways. If you want to be the Arsenal and you want to win the Champions League, you can't have both. You either want to win the Champions League and be the new Arsenal, or be the old Arsenal and have debates like this every Tuesday.
Well, look, there's a lot of what you said I totally agree with, especially about having to be the best and sign the best, and it's going to take a long while for that. I don't see any of these players coming in since we've had Champions League football that are the best, other than maybe Rice and Timber. They're the only two that have got me excited. The others have been pretty naff, to be fair. But there is some breaking news Albert's just sent me that I've just looked at, and some of the chat are talking about. Breaking from Sammy Mockbell. I don't quite know who this player is. Don't know if anyone recognises him. Apparently he plays for Arsenal. Tomiyasu, has anyone ever heard of him? He's had knee surgery, and he's going to miss the start of next season as well. This guy's played 6 minutes for Arsenal this season. And I think I've contributed to Arsenal more than he has this season. I think I've been near the pitch more than he has this season when I've been speaking to one of the stewards I know. So I've definitely been on the pitch longer than him, that's for sure. Crikey, I could do his job. And I don't know what he's on a week, but my goodness, this is a shambles. This player runs out of contract next summer, so he's got the whole of next season, and he will be with us next season because we can't sell him, and no one will want him, and he will have to get out pretty quickly after that because this guy is an absolute. I feel for him because I like Tommy.
It's his
I like
second,
Tommy.
his second knee surgery as well.
Well, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I didn't even know it was his knee that there was a problem with. This is the problem. They don't tell you what's wrong with these players. And unfortunately, Tomiyasu is one of those that I look at now and just think when he gets registered next season, along with Jesus, we need 2 more players because we will register 22 players, let's say, plus Tomiyasu and Jesus. So we need to register 2 more because those guys are absolute waste of space.
Tommy's on $100,000 a week, by the way.
There we go. £100,000 a week. I could do his job. Trust me, I could do that. It is absolutely crazy. But look, Albert, let's look towards the games that are coming up. We've got West Ham, we've got Forest, and we've got Man United. We'll chuck in the other one because we've got Chelsea. Them 4 games are going to be massive. Now, I don't want to sound very negative here, but if Liverpool win their next 3 games, which of course are very, very big, Aston Villa, Manchester City and Newcastle, I truly believe the title is already done. Now, there's a comment here. I was going to read some super chats as well, but this one's coming first. Always is forever. It says, in the last 12 league games, Arsenal have caught Liverpool up by 2 points. So where has all the energy come from to overtake them when we've got to play them at Anfield as well? Now, we've got 13 games left, I think it is.
Yeah,
and we have to win all 13, including the one at Anfield, or definitely the one at Anfield, if we've got any chance or hope of winning the league. Now, I don't think that we are going to win all 13. I do think Liverpool will drop points, but I do think Arsenal will drop points. And that's the biggest problem I've got. So Liverpool dropping points is not really the issue for me. It's what are we going to do? Because if Liverpool drop points, we have to win all these games. There's no more that we can lose. So I think in the next 3 games, I think the title might, if it isn't done already, be completely wrapped up, which is why I think all of our eggs should then go into the basket of the Champions League. There's a couple of quick super chats here before I come to you, Albert. Leicester game celebration was embarrassing, says Netweed. Bots at the Emirates will simply blame injuries and clap for second tetter again. Zero context. Shameless said top gooners, we go again. Reality. AMD said the thing is, when we went to go again next season, our players are overworked from the past seasons, and then the cycle repeats and we win nothing. Look, we've got players out, Albert. Tomiyasu, that's just added. I didn't expect that to be. I expected it to be the case. Obviously, Tomiyasu is one. We've got Ben White back now, but we've got Saka, Martinelli, Havertz that are all out, and Jesus too. There's rumours that Saka and Martinelli could be back in April. Do you expect to see Saka much this season, or would you be quite happy to not rush him back and bring him into the mix into pre-season like Havertz?
Dan, I'm going to reiterate, in regards to Saka, I'm going to reiterate what I probably said to Kenny again privately and said to you, and you probably answered the question before I could even answer it. The latter. If it's down to me personally, I know we've got a lot of injuries this season, and Brandon's touched on it, in terms of hamstring injuries are hard ones to come back from, man. You do not know how the player's going to come back. And if it's down to me personally, I want to see Saka watching the games from the bench or in the stands. Because I know he's important to us, but I'm thinking more in terms of his career, if I'm going to be honest. I don't want to see the man sitting in the studio by the age of 29, 30, because he hasn't fulfilled his potential even more because of injuries. So that's the answer to that one. What was the other part of the question, Dan? Sorry.
Saka or Martinelli, and then our run, which is going to be the next 4 games. How do you see that going with what our front line is?
Well, Martinelli's going to obviously come back quicker than Saka. He did hit a little bit of, I'd say a little bit of form before the injury came, but even he hasn't really torn up trees personally. Listen, he's got a lot of love for some of the sections of our Arsenal fan base. I know Judges loves him, but I think even Judges is like, sometimes, you know what, I'm a bit concerned with what I'm seeing before the injury. But Dan, in terms of the fixtures, I'll be honest with you, the Forest away one is one I've kind of thought about for quite a while, because their form has not dropped off. Even the games where they've had a defeat, they've bounced back. I think that game's not a good matchup for us whatsoever. If we're going by current form, obviously I want Arsenal going to win the game, but listen, they've got Woods in the form of his life. Alanga and Hudson-Odoi have been brilliant. Was it Milenkovic and Murillo? They've been phenomenal this season, to be honest. So that's gonna be tricky. I think we'll beat West Ham just about on Saturday. It's not gonna be a gimme though, as you saw the game last week against Leicester. Like you say, Potsy, I think we start bringing ball games to some of the Arsenal games. The excitement is it's not really enthralling, man, with the games. But so what's that? 12 points down the next 4 games. Oh God, let me give you a quick return. So we need to win them all anyway. But if I'm going to be really, really honest, I think we'll beat West Ham. I think we'll beat United because I just think they're terrible. Forest, I think we'll get a point. And Chelsea, our record's pretty decent at home against them. I think we might sneak a win.
See, I think we're going to drop 2 of those games.
I think we're going to drop.
I think we're going to drop Forest, definitely. We ain't beating them. And I think we drop it. I hate saying this because I think they're one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my life. But I just know that when we go to Old Trafford, we're not going to win 4-0, 5-0. Because I said that last year when we actually had a team and we only scraped past them 1-0. And that was when he had a front line. So it's either Chelsea or Man United where I think we'll slip, if I'm honest. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we go and bloody trounce them, but I just can't see it.
That United game, I'll call it that. I think that'd be a dreadful game to watch.
Oh, it's going to be horrendous. It's going to be absolutely abysmal. I'm glad I'm not going. Glad I didn't go to like Leicester as well. I know it must have been a good laugh, but it would have taken me 4 hours to get there and 4 hours home on the train and bus replacements. And I'm glad I didn't bother because I just sat at home, watched it, and had a good day and night instead. That's what I'm getting to now. Football's becoming a bit of a social because I'm just so down and deflated by it. Until the Champions League picks up, the league is just completely gone, in my opinion. I just can't believe that we're in this scenario. But AG, let me ask you this because let me share this actually. There's a lot of talk about what we do with this team at the moment. Marino is obviously the answer people believe up top. If that isn't the case and he doesn't play Marino, then obviously we've got Sterling, what we went with before, which was just, if I'm honest with you, embarrassing. Trying to watch him play football is quite weird at the moment. But there are other options. Now, let me put this out there. I do not think this is happening. All right, let me first say that. But someone asked me earlier, what would your scenario be if you had to change things up? And I'll share this because I look at things like this, and I think this is what I would prefer to see right now in the Arsenal lineup, because I just look at this formation change and think actually this could do something. Obviously, it's Raya in goal, and then you'll have a back 3, which will be Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. Wing backs of Timber and Lewis Skelly, Partey and Rice in the middle, and then you'll have Erdegaard behind Nwaneri and Trossard. Excuse me. So I just wondered what your thoughts might be on a formation change, AG, because I know you're into this sort of thing, man. What are you saying?
Yeah, I would love that, to be honest. I think this is a much stronger team than having Sterling in the team. Obviously, we know personally for me, and I think it goes for everyone else on this panel, Nwaneri is going to be our most important player until Saka and Martinelli are back. It's quite clear and obvious. When Albert mentioned the fact that, the 2 youngsters or the 2 academy players are the ones that are dragging this team, it really reminded me of Smith Rowe and Saka 4 or 5 years ago. And it's just ironic how we've come really full circle to have 2 young kids doing pretty much the same, trying to save our season, trying to carry us through. But Dan, we know Arteta's a stubborn man. He's not going to change anything. He's going to continue with the same team, and he's going to continue with bringing on Marino in the last 10, 20 minutes to save the game. And if that doesn't, then maybe we'll even see him throw his hat in with an academy player, Keon Edwards or Anus. I think that's really what we're looking at the next few weeks. Really is just saving grace, trying to score a goal. If we score a goal, then just sit back with the incredible defense we have and just soak in the pressure and then counterattack and maybe score off a corner or a set piece or some just rebound goal or just something scrappy. That's all we can really expect for me, at least in the next 3-4 games until Saka or Martinelli are back. As Albert said, Martinelli definitely will be back before Saka. And then personally, in terms of Saka coming back, my opinion is, look, let's see where we are. Let's see where we are in Champions League. Let's assess him. It might be worth taking the risk if there's something still to fight for near the end of the season. But until then, I would also advise that we just give him the rest that he needs and maybe have him on the bench just in case we need something or we want to have that option. But hopefully when Martinelli's back, we'll have some more firepower. And I'd love to see Nwaneri, Martinelli, and maybe Trossard up front. Maybe put Nwaneri as a striker at that point and Martinelli back on the right wing. That's how I see it going forward. And really in the next few weeks, the next few games, I'm looking at Rice as being, one of the major leaders in this team that's going to drive the team forward, try to create, try to make something happen. We know he has that. He takes that upon himself a lot of the times. I want to see him take shots from distance because we're going to play low block teams. We know how it goes. We've seen it against Newcastle. We can't break them down. I'm tired of seeing us just keep on recycling it to the wing, cross it for freaking Trossard, who's, he doesn't have the height or even the aerial prowess to be scoring headers. So for me, I want to see Rice take more ownership, and Odegaard has to be really important moving forward. He's been terrible in the last month or so. I mean, even the last game, if you look at some of his highlights, like some of the passes, some of the thinking, some of the decision making, like it's very clear and obvious that something is not right there. He keeps playing this chip pass. I don't understand why he keeps doing it. Play it on the ground. Play it on the ground, play it early, go for shots, be more ruthless. This is the time for Odegaard to really step up and like shut down the captaincy.
I actually think, AG, he's been our most disappointing player this season. Odegaard.
I mean,
people might think it's harsh because he's like injured and all this stuff, and he's not been well and all that. I get that.
He's supposed
to be our captain and our leader, and you're not been showing that. He's afraid to shoot. He's got anxiety about shooting. When he does shoot, he pats it or passes it to the keeper.
Yeah,
he's a great player. He's not world class in my opinion. He's a good player. He's not got anywhere near the level of an Ozil or a Fabregas or anything like that in my opinion, but he's a very good player, and we look at him and he's letting us down at the moment, bro.
Yeah, well, Dan, the thing is we don't actually have, we say we don't have enough squad depth. Where's his competition? Where's the pressure? And that's not only about the pressure on Odegaard, but not all players are going to be at 100% all the time. It's just not normal. Odegaard's been really good for 2 seasons and he's had a drop off. So he needs the help where you bring in someone that is as good as him, that can take some of that pressure off of him. Let him get the rest. Let him, rejuvenate, recuperate, whatever you want to call it, and let that player flourish and help the team when Odegaard is struggling. We don't even have that. So we're just desperate to just pray and hope that like overnight Trossard, Sterling, Odegaard are gonna like just refine their form, wake up all of a sudden and be superheroes and win us the game, which I don't see happening personally. I only think it's going to be Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri really pushing and being creative, because I think they're the only 2 players that are not robotic. They still are kids. They still have the passion. They still play freely. That's the reason we love these 2 kids. It's the same thing as Smith Rowe and Saka back in the day. These 2 players are playing freely. They're taking risks. Nwaneri's beating players. He's committing players, and we don't have anyone else in the team that can do that, which is why it's so obvious when he has the ball that we think something can happen. And it's great, but it's just not really the place that I wanted to be in as a fan in the title race, really just hoping that my 17-year-old in his first season, is going to be the one who's going to carry and score those Arjen Robben, top left corner finishes every game. It's not fair.
It's not fair, man. I'm totally with you. Brandon, let me come back to this formation as to why I like it, right? Not just because it keeps Sterling out the side like people think. It's actually more of a balanced formation and system, in my opinion. Whether it will be happening, I don't know, right? It probably won't be. But the reason I like it is actually from the bench. You've got players that can come into this system from the bench even more so than the old system. What I mean by that is you've got Kivior and Tierney that can both play in the left centre-back position there in that back 3. Kieran Tierney can also play as a wing-back, as can Zinchenko, because I don't like him defensively whatsoever. You've obviously got Jorginho that can come into the double pivot with Partey and Rice from the bench as well. And then you've got Marino that can play across in that front 3, even if it was with Odegaard dropping Nwaneri in. And then Sterling, who, if you really want to play him, could come on in one of those front 3 positions as well. So I just think it makes sense to change the formation up now with the amount of injuries we've got in this front 3, bruv. What are you telling me?
I'm with you, Dan. It'd be definitely something that I'd be looking to do, but we know that Mikel Arteta is one of the most stubborn managers in world football. He ain't going to change anything, let's be real. As African Guna said, we'll probably see the same lineup as what we see against Leicester. Mikel Merino will get thrown on again, and we'll continue on, holding on to a prey, basically, to see, whether Merino can be the guy off the bench. Because, the one thing I will say is,
you think he will keep Marino on the bench? Marino on the bench then, yeah. You think he'll come on and be a super sub now? Wow.
I think for the time being, yeah, because let's be real, Mourinho hasn't really played that much football for Arsenal. And what I mean by that is he hasn't played many 90 minutes for Arsenal. So his fitness is probably not, his match fitness is probably not quite there. I don't think you can throw him in for a full 90 minutes and expect him to, do the business, especially in a position as well that he's clearly not comfortable in. Let's be real, he's already said in his post-match interview that he hasn't played up front since he was a kid. So that's not a natural position for him. So, I think he will continue to do this Sterling, Trossard, Wanyeri. He's got to try and get a tune out of Sterling at the end of the day. We're paying him wages. And, he's one of the most experienced players in our current team at the moment. So, he has to try and get a tune out of him because he's been awful. Let's be real about it. He's been absolutely awful. But again, Dan, I would 100% be with you. It's just about whether the manager is willing to be flexible. I think you're absolutely right. Having Lewis Skelly as a wing back when he's inverting in Mikel Arteta's system anyway, so it makes sense. Having Timber as a wing back, he's played there before for Ajax. You got the likes of Jorginho who can come off the bench and play in the double pivot, as you said. You can then utilise Kieran Tierney going forward, or in a defensive position where he's going to be more comfortable rather than inverting. It makes sense to do that for the players that we currently have available. But nothing that Mikel Arteta does really make sense to the players that we have available, if that makes sense. It's his way. He wants to do things his way, and he'll continue to do things his way. Now, I've been looking at our final 13 fixtures, and I've got to be real with you guys. With the squad that we currently have, with the fact that we are looking at two academy kids, 17 and 18-year-olds, and they are the standout performers in this team, and we're looking to them now to do something, we're in trouble. Now, I know we've got the likes of Southampton, we've got the likes of Everton, and some teams maybe, further down the league. What I would say is them games won't be easy depending on where them teams are. We always see towards the back end of the season, if a team's fighting to try and stay out of relegation, then it tends to be a tougher game than what it would be if you was playing them earlier on in the season or in the middle of the season. So none of these games are really easy for Arsenal. The easiest game that we've had was probably the one that we played at the weekend just gone. Leicester are not a great side. They don't really have many players that can hurt you. People point to Jamie Vardy. He's 38 years old now, and they've conceded the most amount of goals as well in the league this season, even more than Southampton. So you'd expect Arsenal to cause Leicester problems. What I'm looking at now is, like you say, we've got to go Chelsea. We've got to play Man United. For as poor as they are, they always give us a game anyway. We've got some tough games coming up. We've got Newcastle at home as well later on. Liverpool at Anfield. I'll be honest, I don't see Arsenal winning any more than maybe 5 of our last 13 games. And that's not saying that we're going to lose the rest. I just believe that we will only win 5 out of them 13 games. The rest of the games we will either drop points in or lose, whichever it may be, because we just don't have the attacking threat. Now, if we win if it does go that way, like I say, and we only win 5 of our 13, that could also put us in trouble for finishing in the top 4, if we're being real. You look at it right now, Bournemouth are 5th. There's a 10-point gap between us and Bournemouth. You've got Man City, who are 4th. You've got Nottingham Forest as well, who I can't remember who it was who pointed it out, but they don't look like slowing down. They win, they lose one, and then they go and win the next one. So, and that's something that we don't seem to be doing at the moment this season. Even with our full squad, Arsenal haven't managed to win more than 3 games in a row in the entire season without dropping points. So I'm not full of confidence, I've got to be real. I think 5 games is realistic to say that we will win 5 out of our remaining 13. And we just have to hope, really, that we pick up enough points to qualify for Champions League football, because I genuinely don't believe we're in a title race at all. I believe Liverpool secured that the moment that Arsenal didn't do anything in January. And now that we're in a position we're in, yes, on paper and mathematically, we can still do it, but really and truly, it ain't going to happen. So we have to look at, can we finish in the top 4? And can we do something in the Champions League?
Kenny, let me ask you. I'm going to ask, this is a last closing question. Before I do that, Suj, big up to you, my bro. 5 memberships gifted. Thank you so much, man. And thank you for the super chat. You are an absolute gentleman, my friend. Thank you so, so much. Make sure you do me a favor, people. There's been well over 500 to 600 of you in here. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're following every single one of these guys as well on their socials. Big up to everyone that's in the chat and everyone for coming on. I really appreciate it. Kenny, Forest, West Ham, Man United, Chelsea. How many points?
You've left out Fulham. That's a big game as well.
Oh, is Fulham before Chelsea?
No, Fulham's after Chelsea.
They're the 4. I'm only going to the 4, but yeah, you want to carry on.
Well, the situation is that West Ham they haven't had their manager's bounce from when Potter's taken over. You know, defensively they're an absolute mess, and they find it difficult to break teams down. But you know, this is not the Arsenal of last season. We should have enough to beat West Ham, but we will make heavy weather of it. Even if we had a full side, we'll make heavy weather of it, because that's how we've been all season. We should beat them. Nottingham Forest is a situation where if they get the first goal and they don't get a second goal, we may have a bit of a chance, because they do tend to tire and retreat in the last 30 minutes because of the amount of effort they make into pressing, and trying to get hit us in the counter attack physically. If you saw their game against Liverpool, last 30 minutes they were hanging on to that point. And Liverpool were more likely to get that winner, but they're in a better shape than us in terms of they've got fit players. And they're at the City Ground. City Ground is a very intimidating ground. The crowd get behind them like they did 2 seasons ago when we played them. It's been very, very difficult. I don't hold that much hope. We'll be very difficult to beat. We don't concede anything more than 2 goals. But I think, I don't think we'll win that game. We'll drop points. Then after Man United, they're as pathetic as Man United are. I always say that if Ten Hag was the manager, and I know it just sounds like sacrilege, they wouldn't be producing this first-class rubbish they've been producing. I'm not saying that he's the answer to everything else, but Ruben Amorim is a fool to himself. His arrogance is breathtaking, beyond reproach. To completely play like that when you haven't got the personnel and just do it just to prove a team, and then when it goes wrong, it's just the worst Man United, side I've ever seen. If I was a Man United supporter, I'd tell you one thing: I'll be getting him by the ear and throwing him across the M62, because that's taking the absolute Michael. He's taking a piss. You've got a team that clearly can't play the way you want them to play, and then when it goes tits up, it's the worst Man United team before. You're taking the absolute Michael. You're not fooling no one, and you'll find come May you'll be back in Portugal looking for work, because seriously, that's the situation. But again, Arsenal making heavy weather of it. We'll win. We won't be spectacular. We'll probably win by a set piece, 1-0, and that'd be it. Chelsea are pathetic as well. Another joker. They got another joker as a manager who the minute he said that Chelsea can't compete with the big boys, that enabled their players to think, "Oh bloody hell, you know what?
Yeah, it's true.
Precious off here. We don't have to do it." Even Cole Palmer, is having a break. So again, our record against Chelsea, it's a big team as well. We always raise their game. It's hit and miss, but I think we'll win by a goal. But then again, you look at Liverpool, and if you want me to go Liverpool's thing, I do. You haven't asked me, but I will anyway. Aston Villa, they will not lose to. Man City, they're absolutely smashed to pieces. They're going to beat Man City, because if they get the blueprint that we use against them and all the other teams are using against Man City this season, it's at 3 points. Liverpool will smash them 3 or 4-1. We know it. We've seen it before. We watched this movie. Man City will go up, and everyone, all the City fans will be going, "Oh, we're back, and then bang, they'll concede, and in the second half, Liverpool just go through those spaces, bang, bang, they'll get smashed, and then there are Newcastle. Their minds are on the League Cup final, so they're not going to do us any favours as well. So, really and truly, it's a case where we just had to solidify second place.
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with what you've said there, really. I think we're going to pick 7 points up from 12. I think we're going to lose to Forest, personally, and I think we're going to drop points to Man United, but I think we might win the other two. That's what I think we might do. Liverpool, however, I actually happen to think they'll beat all three. I think they'll beat Villa, I think they'll beat Man City, and I think they'll beat Newcastle, and that will be it. That will then be done. The title will be kaput for Arsenal if it's not already, right? But maybe that's what we need now. So we can just put all of our eggs on the Champions League, because last few seasons we've been trying to mix both, and maybe we just need to go all out for the Champions League. I don't think we're going to win it. I think, if I'm honest with you, I think we've got zero hope of winning it. Right?
Dan, you know what it is?
We're going to have to try and do something.
And Dan, you know what it is? I think with those 3 games you mentioned with Liverpool, I think even some sections of our fan base, they can't turn around and say Liverpool ain't played anyone yet. we're coming to the end of February, man. Come on, we can't. Some of our fans can't. We can't keep saying that, man. We make ourselves sound stupid.
Well, there's a lot of people that are saying that it doesn't matter that Liverpool have won it because Arne Slot has taken over a Klopp side. It's nothing to do with him. It's all luck, and Pep's dropped off, so he'll be back.
5 years ago, 5 years ago, they didn't win the league because it was a lockdown league. But the same people said it was a lockdown league. We won the lockdown FA Cup then.
There you go.
Yeah. Exactly that. Honestly, man, I can't actually believe what was happening when people were saying they haven't played anyone yet and all this absolute
crazy.
They've only lost to Forest.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Say again?
They've only lost to Forest.
Yeah, at home. Yeah, early part of the season.
Smashed Man United, you know.
He's only lost one game, haven't they? Yeah,
he lost one game.
Yeah.
They don't know how to lose.
That's what I mean. Like they deserve him. It's crazy. But there are people, and I saw this today on Terry's channel, that are saying that the reason that we haven't won, or we're not going to win the league, is because VAR, the refs and red cards are against us. Because look, without VAR,
that's saying it, isn't it? That's Terence saying
we are quite clearly here. 55 points are only 2 points off of Liverpool here. So VAR would be all right. Bournemouth are in third, Chelsea fifth. You know, it's brilliant.
Yeah, come on, Dan. Terence, right, knows that I don't want to sound like a director of films of ill repute, but I'm going to use that term they use with films of ill repute. The money shot is Arsenal because our fans are. So anything he says about Arsenal's news, and that's why Arsenal's the money shot. You know I'm not talking about Brandon because and you, Dan, you're regulars on his. I would say it's chaos. He's chaos. That's what I call his show, Chaos. Captain Chaos. It's like a WWE. It could be SmackDown or Monday Night Raw. That show. It's chaotic. It is. That's all.
Mate, there's enough chaotic shows I've been part of.
It's chaos. But
on here, let alone just on there.
As I said, I don't want to sound like a director who makes movies of ill repute, but the money shot is Arsenal. And Arsenal news. He's a Man United fan, he says, but he's talked more about Arsenal. Extraordinary.
Well, look. The VAR situation is Arsenal will be 2 points behind, and if I'm honest with you, I kind of get pissed off of it when people start using these sort of things because I couldn't give a damn what VAR without VAR. The reason we ain't going to win the league is because we ain't very good. That's the reason we ain't going to win the league because the managers let us down, the board have let us down, and the owners have let them down. I know what you're saying, AJ. They've given us money, but they've, in my opinion,
agree.
I think they all need to hold a massive L this season. Yeah. None of them have filled themselves with any sort of pride or confidence from the fan base. And the biggest problem I've got is we've got to then have another summer and go through this again. And I can't. I get to the stage, and I know I have to because it's now my job, but I hate talking about transfer windows. I can't stand it.
Dan,
It's
you know,
honestly, it's the most
Dan, you know,
depressing time of the year, isn't it?
Dan,
Because
you know what
everyone
it,
else gets excited and we get let down. That's what I
Dan,
hate about it.
Dan, you know what it is. It's like I know people. Even when I'm not a guest on your channel, for example, right, and I see the comment section after streams or during the live streams, and like, even if you go to the games, you don't go this season. That Potsy, we sat together at games. Kenny, can I met you? And we don't know what's going to happen to the end of the season. Look, but it's not been an enjoyable season this season, man.
No.
I don't recall any point of the season, any months or period of games where I've come on feeling ultra positive, or we can pick ourselves up. It's just, and it's gonna, and you know what? The last few months of this season, it's gonna. If you think what it's felt like so far this season so far, it's gonna be strap your seatbelts in, man. It's gonna be hard, man. It's not gonna be enjoyable, man. It's not.
Albert, a draw and a one loss and a few draws, and this whole thing turns upside down. I can already see the script. I already know what's going to happen. Obviously, we don't want it to happen, but it's quite clear and obvious. The Merino brace kind of saved us, but it's going to happen. We know at some point in one of these games it's going to happen. We'll drop points, and then that's when everyone's going to it's gonna hit everyone, and I'm gonna be like, oh, we didn't do it in the January window, and then all the anger is gonna come out, and then it's just gonna build up, and then drop one more game, drop points again, and then whoo! Yeah, they don't even want to tell you what it's gonna be because it's not gonna be fun.
No, man.
Yeah,
Look,
again, though, the problem is they'll be angry for a little while, and then the moment that the PR starts again and the merch starts coming back out, they'll all be lapping it all up again. And this is the Arsenal fan base in a nutshell.
49 merch
people,
releases, mate. That's what it is. 49 merch releases.
Not enough
it's
people
crazy.
are willing to stand up and actually go, fuck this, we need to make a change. Like, we need to do something as fans of the football club now to demand success. Forget about all this PR nonsense and all that rubbish. Yeah, because I know Dan would be. I quite willingly would be. Kenny, yourself as well. I'd be quite happy to do a protest, put my money towards getting these owners out of the football club, getting real change at the football club. But there's not enough people that are going to stand up and do that. So
we know that even if there is enough people, Brandon, I don't think it'll make any difference. They own 99% of the club. I mean, we know. I mean, I know it sounds terrible. Like, it's not what we want. I'm as passionate as you, and I'd definitely be there for protests. I'd fly over there in a heartbeat to be part of that whole experience. It's just, unfortunately, and it's the same thing that I mentioned with Arteta, right? Like, what's the point of crying and bickering now and being upset when we know nothing is going to change? Like, that doesn't mean we have to accept it. I think people will be more open to this at the end of the season when it pans out the way it pans out and we don't win anything. And if we don't sign anyone in the first week or the first 2 weeks of the window, I think then people will really say, hey, like the protest needs to start again. Maybe not against Arteta, maybe it starts with the ownership. I don't know what that looks like, but I think right now people would just look poorly against fans that do that.
It's interesting, like Brandon touched upon it. Like when we had the Super League thing, I think there was 2 protests after that. I was there for them. There was more people. I'm not taking the piss. I say there was more people interested in buying the kit. I remember seeing the queue. I was raining. I was there. We're not. The problem is, and probably most football clubs will say this, but we're Arsenal fans in it. But in regards to the protesting and action, Arsenal will never be unison on that.
Yeah,
never. It just won't happen. That's just the reality. It's true. Brandon, I'll be there with you. I had no problem going down there, but they won't. They will never be in unison for that to happen. It won't happen. I'm sorry, it won't.
The reason why I think it won't happen, I think there's extenuating circumstances, and I think it won't affect Arsenal. It'll affect every club, especially London club with over 50,000 fans, especially in new stadiums. We are going to get a lot of fans who it's their dream to go and watch us play.
Yeah.
They spend thousands of pounds, booking up hotels, getting the merchandise. It's an emotional experience for them. They're not here to protest. They just want to be part of the thing. So we've got to factor that in. Another thing as well in terms of protests. A lot of fans think they've done their bit now because they protested against Arsene Wenger removal of the football club. They feel it was a bit of a success. And I think that the protests you talked about the Super League, it was the biggest con ever. It was a con of all cons. And it was basically masqueraded and organised by Sky Sports because they saw it as a threat because they didn't have the TV rights. They got the most working class.
After that happened, Kenny, they clapped the team bus and they all went there when Josh was there. Hey, we're back in our home. What is going on?
Yeah, but you guys got conned by Sky. They didn't get Jamie Redknapp from Bournemouth to come and talk BS about the sanctity of the game. They didn't get Ian Wright from Plumstead to do it. They got Jamie Carragher from Bootle and Gary Neville from Greater Manchester, 2 millionaires who happen to have northern accents. They go, "Oh, our game" and all that, and we all fell for it. I didn't. I smelt a rat. I believe it or not, because of my age, because I've been around the block and I'm from the end. I smell bullshit before they think about it, and I knew. I hate Isak. I love you lot a lot. You were pork chops for falling for that. Chelsea fans, Spurs fans, Man United fans, you're all a bunch of pork chops. The Super League was never going to happen. It was just all talk. But like the pork chops you are, the minute champagne socialist Gary and champagne socialist I like to spit a little girl's Carragher had a go, you all fell for it. You're pork chops. But that's
I love you, Kenny.
That's the most organised, the most mobilised you are. I'm impressed that you actually got yourself organised in lockdown when we were all told to save our grandparents and their mothers. You lot came out in your thousands. Impressive. Shame you didn't come out in thousands for the real things that matter.
Kenny, you know what? To be fair, for myself, I got to meet Potsy for the first time that day, so that was a good thing for me.
Love, man. Love, bro.
If you want me to set up a blind date, I could have done that myself. You just have to ask me nicely.
Kenny, I love you, man. Give me your prediction for the weekend as we close. What are you saying, Albert?
God.
West Ham at home.
Yeah, I won't be at the game, unfortunately. I'll be working. Arsenal, 2-1.
2-1 Arsenal. I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. I'm going to repeat the Leicester one. I'm going to be optimistic. What are you saying, AG?
You guys really think we're going to score 2 goals? I love the confidence, man. I love the confidence. We had this whole stream talking about where we are at as a club, and then at the end, they're like, we're winning 2-0. Look, I think we'll win 1-0. I think we'll just score a scrappy goal. It'll be one where we're creating chances, but we can't finish like we've always seen this entire season. And then maybe Gabriel will come in with a power header or Saliba. It'll be someone we're not expecting to score. Maybe Nwaneri will give the assist. I think he'll obviously have a good game, and it'll be one of those where Gabriel, Saliba, Savior, or Thomas Partey long range, something we're not expecting, and we'll just win 1-0, and we'll keep scraping by and taking it game by game, just trying to survive till Saka and Martinelli are back.
Kenny?
West Ham pathetic, but we're pathetic as well. So we're gonna win 2-1, 3-1 if best. We might, and fans will be happy. They'll say we're going to be in it again until they disappoint. But at the end of the day, it's a day out. At the end of the day, you know what our fans are like, the most of them. Win, draw, lose. Let's hit the booze.
Absolutely. Brandon, lastly, what are you telling me?
6-0.
Who's scoring the hat trick? Who's scoring the hat trick, eh?
Raheem Sterling. Sterling
hat trick, double hat trick.
And sorry, just before Brandon goes on that point, I think all fans would love Sterling to score a hat trick. Yeah, he would need. We need that lift, and we'll take it. Even though we don't.
3 years ago, he was one of the best players in this country. What's happened?
He ain't got Kevin De Bruyne no more. That's probably what it is. But anyway, I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go 1-1. I don't know why. I've just got a feeling about this game. I really have.
Brandon, I think you're going to have this feeling about every single game until we have a stronger squad. It's normal. I mean, that's how we feel. We're not confident.
I don't see us scoring more than one, and
Yeah, I agree.
I don't see West Ham scoring more than one either because I think we're too defensively strong. So I could just see this being a draw. I really could.
Yeah, look, I hope we get the 3 points. That's all we need to just keep getting across the line. But it ain't going to be easy. West Ham beat us here last year, and that was when we had a fully fit squad. So we'll see what we do at the weekend. Big up to every single one of you. Big up to Brandon. Big up to Kenny, Albert, and of course African Gooner. Make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to redirect you over to Hassam. Don Hussam is on at the moment, ranting and raving as usual with his crew. So please make sure you go show some love. Go send to Dan Potts raid, 12-man raid, whatever it be. And we will see you next time, people. Take it easy.
Ask him also as well in the chat. Ask him also if Liverpool are favourites yet.
And he'll just put a leopard in a tree back. That's all he'll do. Big up, people. We're out of here. Laters.